did you get married? I'm terrible at maths, but I know that that's like over 50 years.
Understand that you are two different people. You came from different background, and so you don't expect one to be exactly what you are. I went for my nursing in UK. It was all right. I had friends, and they had this boy whom I thought was very serious. And so, yes.
You're about to hear
And, and he would send, he would send me beautiful card for Christmas and for birthday. No gift, just card.
You're on This Shift with Folashade.
How did you
Thank
know?
you for trying to direct. Yeah?
No, I was just saying like I was nervous.
Oh, you're nervous?
Yes, I was nervous.
Nice.
Oh my God, guys! So at the back of the camera, we have our
We have a
mothers.
live audience
We have our mothers.
in the presence of Riri's grandmas. Please make some noise, live audience.
Oh my goodness, I love it so much. I can't believe like we're finally doing this. I know that we've talked about like having a podcast. So how do you feel about like being on camera again? And I know like the first time we did this was I think 2022. We had just had Riri, and we wanted to start a YouTube channel, and now we are back here.
Okay.
How do you feel about like all the like I'm what I'm saying is I don't think like it's in character for you to.
Am I distracting?
Are you okay? I know you're Momiji.
Am I distracting?
No, you're not distracting me. I told you I was nervous because of the cameras.
Relax now. Show me you're talking to.
You know, it's crazy. This would have been okay, like if your mommy was not watching you.
Also, you're feeling awkward.
Yes, I'm feeling awkward. Oh my God, we'll continue.
You need help. I can't help you. Anyways, let's get into it. So we finally started the podcast.
Yeah, and I think part of the reasons why we felt it was important to have this is like there are times when and why I thought it was important to have you here. Because there are times when like you and I would just talk, like we'll just be having casual conversations and you just drop like something that I thought like was profound. And I felt like, no, it can't just be, just me hearing this. I just know that you have like a lot of wisdom to share. No, just listen now, because this is the last time I'll ever say something like this. So
No, it can't be the last time, but well, listen.
Yeah, but I'm just saying like we'll be talking and then you just drop something like casually, something that like shows like a lot of thought and depth. And I just felt like, more people
This
need
taller
to...
guy sounds like such an awesome guy.
No,
He's taking, right? He's taking. Just so everybody knows.
No more fair. Anyway, and I just felt like we needed like to share that with people. And I know that the other times when we had you like on our channel, on the YouTube channel, like people be like, oh, let your husband come more, because like you just say stuff that really resonates with people. And I just think we should bring, those conversations that we have casually, to people. And but is it not amazing that on, the days on, like when we decided to like start the podcast was when, it just worked so much that we had Grammar, to come around and then just to share the wisdom. And for me, I think it's profound because seeing you and seeing like all the wisdom and how you lead our family and how you love, our children, I don't think it's an isolated event. I feel like it stems down, like the Bible says like, oh, the oil drips like from the head of Moses and down into his beard. So I think that there's a bit of legacy to explore there. And I just think it's just not a coincidence that, our first guest on, our podcast is, your grandmother, your grandma, right? And then our children's great-grandmother. Okay. Yeah, so do you want to introduce her to our guests?
Okay. Welcome back to The Shift, in case... I don't think we mentioned that at all. Yeah. Welcome back to The Shift.
Yeah, The Shift podcast, like shift. Like, I'm sitting here like
this. Soon, just sit down. Thank you. Shift.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's it. And for today, like you mentioned, we have Olomoge Sweet 16.
Ooh! Hey, there was this name we used to call him, Shonari Omond.
Ah, yes. Original.
The original Shonari.
The original Shonariwo. This is Shonariwo 2. But the original Shonariwo is here with us.
Woo! Audience! Woo! Yeah.
Okay. And just to introduce, so this is my grandma, Riri's great-grandma, Ebon's great-grandma. And it's it's just one of those things that there's a lot. With age comes wisdom. And it's one thing when, usually when people when people who just got married recently are talking online about, for example, their marriages, you always have that person
That's
that
someone
must
from an
show up.
unhappy home.
That person from an unhappy home, in quotes, that would always come and say, what do they know? You people just married. Just give them 10 years.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And all that. Okay. We decided to bring someone who in her 90s. So,
Yeah. She's
almost
going to be
getting
95.
She's going to be 95 in
Yeah.
September.
Ooh, she's my mom's mate. Ooh, September girls are awesome.
Yeah, it explains a lot. It explains a lot. And just to tell you how special she is to me, I think the first day you met her was on her 90th birthday?
Yeah, her 90th birthday.
Her 90th birthday celebration. And it was one of those things, we were still talking. There wasn't anything, we were still exploring.
Like, I had not said yes to you or anything.
No
so.
problem. I mean, I had not even proposed
Don't
anything
do like,
yet.
no, you are the only one that was...
It's okay, just
yeah.
relax, Sha.
Okay.
But so far, everything was looking good, looking nice. So I brought you to come and see my grandma and everybody at her 90th birthday. And I think one thing was, because I remember after you left, like, I had a conversation with her.
Oh, really? You talked about me? Okay.
I remember talking to her and just kind of like, I'm interested in this people. And this person that you met today, kind of like, what do you think about it? If grandma had said no, it's very likely we won't be here today.
I will have married the
So,
other
yeah.
person, so you want to cock on your phone, we'll continue what you're saying.
Let's leave that joke.
Okay.
But I think, so going back to what you mentioned about what we're talking about, how usually when young people talk about their marriages, especially when they're trying to talk about it from trying to represent like happy homes that is still possible and all, you tend to have people who just doubt like, hey,
Like,
you've
they've
not
gone
been
through the
married long
experience.
enough.
Yeah, so why are
to
you like
talk.
talking? Yeah.
And to be honest, experience counts to some extent.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I think it's very important that we're going to be talking with somebody who...
As over, how many years of experience? Grandma, when did you get married?
Oh, is that how we're entering the
Yeah,
conversation?
let's just play into
Okay.
it. 1959. This is 2024. I'm terrible at maths, but I know that that's like over 50 years, right? 1959 to 2024 is over 50 years. So we're talking someone like with like all of the experience. But like before we get into like the marriage parts that produce the children, that now produce the grandchildren, that we now married and now we have great grandchildren, it would be really nice like to get to know you, Grandma, to get to meet you. I mean, we've met you, but they need to meet you. So would you like to introduce yourself, Grandma?
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Margaret Olubalaji Onodipe ní Jayesimi.
Okay.
Don't forget the knee.
Yeah, very important.
I'm from Ishara, Ikeburemo,
Okay. I didn't know
and
that.
I married into a beautiful family who came from Iruwon, Irigo, Ijebu-Ode.
Okay.
On October 31st, 1959, and I have not regretted joining this man since then until he passed on many years after. I enjoyed my relationship with him. It was cordial, it was full of fun, and he showed trust in me, and we got on well together until death snatched him away from me in the year
2012.
Yes. But I've enjoyed every minute I spent with my husband. I should introduce him, Mr. Lawson Badejo Onodipe. His mother was from Iruwon.
Okay.
The father was from Irigo.
Okay.
But just these are these two towns a few miles
From
different.
each other?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've not regretted marrying him, especially that since we had those beautiful children, 5
Well, now
of them,
grandmas and grandpas.
and I thank God for them. They are wonderful children. raised by God, inspired by the Holy Spirit, and they have not given me any problem since I gave birth to them.
Awesome.
I thank God for what each of them has achieved through God's grace. And I thank God that He gave me this husband who made life easy for me and comfortable, because without a comfortable home or a happy home, you cannot concentrate on raising your children in any form, in any way.
Even pursuing it.
So I thank God for that.
Yeah.
Okay, Grandma.
And I think just to come into the conversation, so I think even just some background to how we decided to have Grandma on the show. I find it interesting that I remember talking with you the other day about how it feels like there's a lot of history that we're enjoying the benefits of today that we don't even know. Like, and you were still talking to Mommy yesterday about how the family dynamics, everything that we see as normal because we grew up in it is not
it's not common,
it's not common out there.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to you and just talking about how that it would be nice to kind of talk with Grandma to kind of get a piece of the history, kind of like know where we're coming from. And in that sense, it will just inform how
like where we are going,
how we become custodians of
the
forward.
legacy. And Grandma, so saying that, I mean, I know that you just like we're not just born and then you got married to Grandpa. Like there was like a story behind that. So if you don't mind, like sharing like some part of your childhood with us, you know, like where you were born, how you grew up, you know, what schools you went to. Yeah, that would be nice.
If you are willing to wait, you hear stories.
Okay, Grandma.
But time may not be adequate for us to go into details.
Yeah, so we can just say, let's just streamline the conversation to like when you were born, like maybe a few childhood memories. Let's do that, and then we'll now do like where you went to school, career. Yeah.
We can do a question.
Yeah. So when Grandma was born. Like
so the story of your birth.
Well, I was born in the year 1929,
Okay.
September 11th, at 1:20 p.m. How did I know this? I spied into my father's diary book,
Okay.
which he didn't know about till he died.
Wow.
He was fond of keeping diaries,
Okay.
and I was fond of reading diaries with the door closed.
That you did not write.
So that he would not see me. Because if he saw me reading his diary, I'd be in soup. So I read it there, the details. 1:20 p.m., he was giving the information, the news that my mother had delivered me. And the hymn that he wrote was our blessed Redeemer, ere he breathed.
Okay.
He said in Yoruba, Olùràpadà wa kóhun tó dágbére ìkẹyìn, ó rán olùtùnú sí wa láti bá wa gbé. He wrote that verse on the space where he wrote baby born at 1:20 p.m. So that was his response to the news that I was born.
Okay.
And I held on to that. And I was happy that I was a source of comfort for them. That is my husband, my father, and my mother.
Were you the first child, Grandma?
I was, yes.
Okay.
And we took out from there. But he didn't know till today that I knew about all those details.
Yeah.
And I thank God that everything went well. I was born in Abeokuta.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. I grew up in Abeokuta, Grandma.
Okay.
It's not the same Abeokuta.
Yes, and my father was working at Abeokuta, a CMS bookshop, and as a salesman.
Oh, okay.
Under the missionary.
Okay.
And so we were there for some years, and I enjoyed my childhood days. What I remember clearly was his being a missionary-based environment where he worked.
Yeah.
CMS Bookshop.
Yes, ma'am.
We lived in the mission house, and we went to church on Sundays.
Yeah.
I was young then, of course. At the age of 3, we went to Sunday school.
Okay.
And I remember we were told, we were given scripture verses to learn, and it wasn't easy, but I've forgotten some of the verses.
Yeah.
Maybe I remember before.
Okay, before we
finish. But I remember the scripture verse, and we were supposed in those. Yes, it was Psalm 129.
Okay.
Forgotten.
It's okay.
However,
It's okay.
I read it. No, I was.
You memorized it?
I was memorizing,
Yeah.
and I could speak Egba language, Egba dialect, very fluently.
Yeah.
And
But
I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
But what time? At what point in your childhood did you leave Abeokuta? Because I know, like, you were not always in Abeokuta.
No,
Mama moved in.
1934. I remember we moved from there to Ijebu-Ode.
Oh, okay.
And at Ijebu-Ode, my father was working again at the CMS bookshop.
Okay. Another one in
sales
Ijebu.
at Ijebu-Ode, yes.
Okay.
And it was there I started attending school.
Okay.
And the school I attended there was CMN. It was a girls' school, Ijebu-Ode.
Okay.
First of all, this school was located at a different part of the country, of the town, and then we moved to Ibeba, which became the permanent site.
Okay.
And it was very nice experience. I was kindergarten 1, 2, and the missionaries were in charge of were on the staff.
Okay.
And they were very good. They were very efficient. And I remember we were inspected. We had inspection on daily basis.
Okay.
Before the school started.
Yeah.
We'll show you. They tell you, show me your nails.
Yeah.
So we'll show our nails, and anybody with dirty nails will be sent somewhere to have them. So it was all to ensure good personal hygiene.
Yeah.
Show me your teeth, we'll show the teeth, and so on and so forth.
I don't know, do they still do that in schools today?
I'm not sure they have the time to do that. But this was something they did, and everybody made sure that their teeth, it was girls' school, her teeth and her nails were trimmed and were nice and clean.
Yes.
And we had
a lot
nice
has changed, definitely.
Yes.
I think
In all
there's
those
still a bit
years.
of that. But I would say, like, would you say, like, all that training that you went through informed, like, your choice of career, like the whole, like, personal hygiene thing, like, because I know, like, you,
Yes, I would say so. Yes, it formed the basis because I knew I must in school. I must be. They would ask me. In fact, my nails must be cut short, and my teeth must be in good condition. So I must make sure I use my twin stick, etc., etc.
But when you're using twin stick,
Twin stick,
toothbrush.
of
there was
course.
no toothbrush.
No.
Okay, that's
Twin
new.
stick, twin stick.
Wait, that's actually news.
And it was all nice, and we show the teeth, we show your toenails. We made sure your nails were cut and so on. And it was all missionaries were in charge of the they had Miss Goodall as the principal, and she was very good.
Miss Goodall was good.
Miss Goodall was the principal.
Okay.
She was very good. And so were the other members of staff. Of course, we had some Nigerian
Staff
teachers.
as well.
Yes.
So about the question on like choice of career, and with everything you mentioned, like our family was very immersed in like the missionary society then. And taking a leaf from your book of reading of reading your dad's life, your dad's diary.
So you read that one too?
I was reading Grandma's books
Wow.
that she has been writing about her life. Grandma writes very well. I think that's a very beautiful thing to see. And just reading the story too has made it interesting to, like, there were some things I found very interesting, like about your birth. So I know from what I read so far, you mentioned what you've mentioned already, that you were born at 1:20 p.m. September 11th. Was it PM or AM?
No, PM.
PM.
Was in the afternoon.
September 11th. And one thing I found interesting there was you mentioned how you were born into the hands of a Scottish missionary midwife who happened to be named Margaret.
Yes.
And she asked your parents that, oh, they make one of your names
one of the
Margaret.
names,
And I
yeah.
found it interesting that they chose Margaret to be your first name.
Yes.
After that experience. I also remember you writing how you mentioned that while your mom was still in the hospital, the nurse got to know her and there was a rapport, and the nurse literally gave a word that your profession is going to be nursing.
Yeah, I remember you reading that.
And you mentioned 28 years later just becoming a nurse.
Yeah.
And I just find it, like me, there's just a lot.
Okay, you think like it was just not a coincidence?
I don't think it was a coincidence.
Okay.
Oh, you don't think it was?
But how did
anything?
you come to the decision of like choosing nursing, Grandma, as your career?
Well, I trained as a teacher
Okay.
after leaving school, after leaving Queen's College.
Okay.
I went
Queen's
to
College
UNC
that year was
in Lagos.
Yeah, Queen's College in Lagos. Oh, so
Lagos,
Grandma
yeah.
is a QC girl.
So after leaving Queen's College, after class 6,
Okay.
went to UMC
Okay.
for the 2-year post-certificate course to train as a teacher.
Okay.
And after that, I went to teach at St. Anne's. But I felt I wasn't getting enough, and I wasn't imparting enough knowledge. I felt I could do more
Okay.
for people around me than just teaching.
Okay.
I felt I could do something more practical.
Okay.
And so I decided on nursing.
Okay. Okay.
I did not know at that time that somebody had predicted to my mother, predicted in quotes,
Yeah.
that I was
Had
going to
prophesied.
be,
That you were
that I was
going
going to be a nurse and so on and so forth. So it was after 3.5 years teaching experience
Yeah.
at St. Anne's
Okay.
that I decided to do nursing.
Okay.
And I went to Britain for that,
Oh, so wow, look at
for
that.
my teaching.
Before Japa became a thing, Grandma was already Japaing. Love it.
No. Well, back then, I mean, there was a lot of Nigerians moved a lot to the UK because of the Commonwealth relationship. Easily, right? Relatively easily.
And I had to start from the beginning.
Okay.
As I said, I didn't know somebody had told my mother I would be. No, I didn't know until many, many years. In fact, until I had retired from nursing.
Oh, really?
That my mother told me that, somebody said this
That you're
years
going to do
earlier. I
it.
didn't know.
Yeah.
So whether you'd call it
I'll say it was prophetic.
prophetic statement, we take it, but let's put it as God designed it to be. And I enjoyed every minute I spent as a
I
midwife.
have a question because I think I've seen your picture with Grandpa, and I think that
On the
picture was
wedding day.
taken on
It
wedding.
was in the UK.
And I know that like you guys got married in the UK, you and
Yes.
Grandpa. So was it while you were doing nursing that you saw that
No, I had
Okay.
completed, I did my general nursing,
Okay.
I did my midwifery training,
Okay.
and then I was working as a staff midwife at King's College Hospital when I met my husband
Oh, okay.
at a friend's
UK?
house.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. In the UK, what was
Yeah,
it
at a
doing?
friend's house. He was working. He was training as a pharmacist
Oh, okay.
in Sunderland, but he would come to England at the end of the year
Yeah.
for holidays.
Okay.
I think you
And
mentioned
he
with
would-
his cousin, right?
Yes, with his cousins, the Oshisonwos. And the Oshisonwos were my own friends.
Oh.
So
And they
I
did the
went. I
link up.
went to their house.
Okay.
He
God
was
bless
there, and we met,
Oh, okay.
etc., etc.
Oh, no, Grandma, you have
You
to give
can't
us
just
detail.
wrap
You
it up
can't,
with
you can't wrap
etc.,
it up.
etc..
We need to know. See, when you say have good friends, so that they can link you
They
up
can
to
plug you.
good guys. This is what we are talking about. Because even Grandma was through our friends.
Okay.
So
the
expand
lady-
a bit on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was I visited my friends,
Okay.
the Oshisonwos.
Okay.
Mrs. Oshisonwo was my friend at UMC.
Okay.
We both trained at UMC years before. Then this was before I went to St. Anne's.
Yeah.
Because I taught at St. Anne's
Yes.
after training
Okay.
at UMC. She went to Shagamu Girls School,
Okay.
teacher training college to teach. So we were friends
Yeah.
at the college and the UMC.
Yeah.
And then we continued that friendship.
When you were teaching too.
Yes, and until even when I was
Nothing.
nursing, yes.
Nursing.
Yes.
Okay.
She was married to her husband.
Yeah.
Both of them were in England.
Okay.
And I visited them a lot of times.
Okay.
So I made their home my second home.
Oh, okay.
He, my husband, was the husband's relation
Okay.
from Ijebu.
Okay.
Yes, so they met, they reunited there.
Yeah.
And by chance, I was there.
Okay.
And
And what
so
happened?
I can imagine.
don't
I can imagine them. I can imagine them talking to each other. Okay, can hook up.
No, maybe not like that, but maybe like, who's
Anyway,
that your nice
let's
friend?
connect.
and I don't know what happened
What went
behind
behind
the
the scenes?
scenes.
Yeah.
I don't know, but obviously something went.
Of
behind
course,
the
I mean,
scenes.
we are here.
That tells the story.
Okay.
And so it was there that we met and we talked and then
Mama, you need more details. Yeah.
Don't worry, it's fine.
No,
because we're on the time.
No, let me ask a question. So you met, you started talking. Why didn't you just end up as a friend? What
Yeah,
was it
like,
that you saw?
because I'm sure he's not the first person to ask, like a babe like you, like that you wanted to, Why did you choose him?
well, I prayed to God about it. When he spoke to me,
What did he say to you, Grandma?
well, he wanted somebody to keep her company for the rest of his life.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
etc., etc. You
Nice.
have an idea. Both
Your
of you.
grandpa be making big promises.
Well,
And,
thank God he kept them. So.
Yeah.
And I left everything in God's hands and decided whatever God wanted to happen would happen. And it so happened that I asked my friend,
Yeah.
Mrs. Oshisonwo,
Okay.
that the lady I was staying with, whom I said I was
Yeah,
staying
was your
with,
friend? Yeah.
Yes, I asked her and she recommended him. This
Oh.
was behind the scene. And this was a friend who would not mislead me. She was much older than me and we were very close. And so
Good friends.
left
Good
everything in
friends,
God's
yeah.
hands and that was what happened.
Okay.
Okay.
And we got talking together
And you liked him.
and that was it.
Okay. And so bringing us back to, how we mentioned that Grandma is Shonariwo 1 and this is Shonariwo 2. There's a bit of story behind that. From what I remember, Grandma mentioned how it's Grandpa that gave her the name Shonariwo. And and the reason why I call any Shonariwo 2 is because I kind of see some parallels or similarities. So, Grandma, you mentioned how Grandpa was very quiet, that there were some times where you are like that, you don't go anywhere, everything just always to yourself kind of thing. And for me, it was just kind of like a picture of myself and Annie, where I'm more of the quiet one, and she's the everywhere, bubbly, social butterfly. And as God will have it, we have a really,
that's where Riri got it from.
Riri's own is more. Riri has taken it to new heights. But let's leave that aside. But I think just talking about the dynamics between you and Grandpa, how you both were very different, but yet
but yeah, you still made it work. And I mean, you had 5 children.
He was a patient man. I wasn't troublesome. Don't get
Don't paint her bad. Yes, Grandma, Shona roles are not troublesome. Please tell him. Don't paint her in a bad light. Do not think when Grandma was the noisemaker.
He was the quiet type. You could stay in the house for hours. You could be reading the Bible and so on. I too read the Bible.
Yes, Grandma.
But
Grandma said in this conversation.
I would enjoy. I like to go out and see what's happening outside.
Grandma has friends. Grandma has a bestie.
So he lived a quiet life, and I didn't live exaggerate. Although he nicknamed me Shona, I suppose.
I mean,
because of friends, I had friends, of course.
I mean, it was true even through the friends that you met him. So
you see,
do you understand?
and so we had fun, and I enjoyed my time with him.
Yeah.
The years I spent were wonderful years, and I did not regret anything.
Wow.
Any year I spent with him. He was quiet, he was gentle, he was caring, and he was very, very hospitable. And he was good. He was business, he was responsible.
He provided.
And exactly. And very patient and enduring. I wasn't, not that I was troublesome, but we got on well together.
Yeah.
And that was it. He could sit in the house
and
for
like
hours,
nobody would know.
and I would like to see what's happening.
See what's happening. What's happening outside?
That was how he said initiate missionary was.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a bit about like him and how like you've talked like about your marriage, your relationship with each other. But like we said, like at the beginning of this conversation, we wanted to see how that legacy, spilled into how you raised your children, right? And then how they in turn raised their grandchildren. So how would you say like both of you work together to bring up children who are godly, who love each other? And emphasis on love each other because they have such a great bond. They're always following each other everywhere. I think they've been to London twice alone this year, twice or thrice, and they are still going again in September. Like they love each other. They're always rooting for each other's children. And I want to believe that has something to do with how you and Grandpa raised them. So do you want to talk a bit about that?
Well, for one thing, as I said, my husband was quiet and gentle. I wasn't troublesome. Don't get that impression.
No, Grandma, you said that.
We understand.
We
We know that.
So, but and he wouldn't stop me from going out and doing things because of trust. He trusted me, and of course, he knew that whatever I wanted, I would not mislead the children.
Yeah.
And wherever they went, they would be sensible because from their own example, from our own example, they knew that we didn't misbehave and so they wouldn't misbehave. And of course, prayers went a long way in helping to raise them, in helping to nurture them, in helping to bring them up. Going to church and making sure in the house,
discipline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we maintain that discipline, and with the prayers and I suppose the example they copied.
Yeah.
In our own, looking at us in the house, I suppose helped them a great deal.
Yeah. And I think.
And in your dynamics, I think Grandpa was the disciplinarian, right?
He was, yes, he was.
From what I remember, from what I've heard.
He was.
Yeah, I was just going to say something, Grandma. You mentioned it yourself. You said because of the examples that they saw in both of you, like it was easy for them to say like, oh, you guys were well behaved, so that there was there wasn't like a bad example for them to copy in that regard. I just wanted to say, I was going to say something and I think I've forgotten that. Do you think like them seeing like a loving, happy mom and dad, like influenced their growing up, like that kind of stable family dynamic?
I think that went a long way.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Yeah.
It did help.
Okay.
It did help, and when they see people in their immediate environment being peaceful and loving and caring and respectful, I think they too, they copied and they moved on. And not only that, prayer went a long way in helping. And going to church, not just going to church to sing the song, going to church and listening and putting into practice whatever. I think that has helped them a great deal. And with God's help, the children have been raised in according to the will of God. They have been guided by the Holy Spirit, and perhaps by our own example. Husband, wife, not fighting, not arguing. I don't think they've seen us argue.
Wow.
We did argue, but the children
not in front of them.
Wouldn't know, you see.
Okay.
And they saw the love that existed between. They would talk, of course. They would have their discussion, which they wouldn't bring to us. But I think they found our own example, something worth copying, and that has helped them a great deal. And in my own case, my own father and mother were they helped me a great deal in development of my character, character development.
Yes, ma'am.
And I appreciate what they did for me. For example, my father, when I was young, would take notice of little details. For example, if I said, like I could be discussing with somebody, and I could say, oh, tomorrow, I could say, today is Friday. I could say, how could I put it? Like, oh, I would say, I heard something that will be happening tomorrow. Or today, which is not, I would be saying, no, I'm joking. Sometimes you want to make a statement and then you say, I'm joking. And my father would tell me straight away, you don't say that. Whatever comes out from your mouth must be the truth. So I must be careful and look around before I said anything, because I could get
in trouble for that.
Get in trouble for that.
Okay.
He said, whenever you speak the truth. I'm only joking. You don't joke. Whatever comes out of your mouth must be the truth.
Like, be accountable for every word that you speak. Okay.
And he helped me a lot, and my mother helped me a lot. I will never forget those two people, because with my character development, they helped me. And I tried to help
your children as well. And now your children have helped their own children.
Exactly.
And then we are now helping like your great-grandchildren.
When I remember when I was having when I was in Kudeti.
Okay.
I attended Kudeti Girls' School. Okay. And there it was pap in the morning, in the evening it's Eko, and so on and so forth, boarding house. And so we lost weight. It was a boarding house, and the students would gather together. Groups, of course, would say, you see how you see my collarbones? So we'll be discussing with each other. And then we'll decide, when we write home, we just tell our parents that during the next celebration, we don't need Golbido, because what we have here, with our collarbones showing because of bad feeding, we don't need gold. So we said we write letters home. So we decided, I took my pen and wrote to my father. I said, this and that. I said, I don't require any gold.
So that's such a crazy thing to do, actually.
So I got home on holidays. My father kept that letter and then brought it out and said, "You wrote this?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Goldbeat." He said, "Did I send you there to eat?" I sent you there to be educated. I didn't ask you to go there and eat and get fat. So never tell me this. Don't tell me this. So like the bottom fell out of my life, sort of. So, when I was thinking you would
like you'll be angry,
whether buy me Ovaltine and feed me with this. So all I could get was this. So I remembered from that day that whatever I wrote, I must make sure that I didn't criticize the school or do nothing negative.
My God, wow, that's really...
So that was it. Yeah, so, and then there was another we could be discussing, and then we would say, "I'm joking." My father said, "You don't joke. Whatever comes out of your mouth must be the truth."
Okay.
I said, "Okay." And then there was an occasion, a friend was coming to visit me. We were in Queen's College. We were going on 3 months holiday. And she decided she was living at Ogere. Okay. And I was in Ishara. Okay. So she said she would come to Ishara and visit me. So I was happy. I got home, I told my parents, such and such a person will be visiting me. So I started cleaning the house, let this, impression. Yeah. So my father was watching. And so I did everything ready. And I was to go and meet her at the station. So, but then I was so excited. The day before, I told my father, "Don't you forget, such and such is coming tomorrow." My father said, "Oh, yes, I remember." Okay. On that day, I started cleaning again. What I had cleaned before, I started cleaning. She was watching me. And then, as I was going, I said, "Papa, I'm going to the station to meet my friend." Then he said, "Oh, but just wait a minute." He said, "Suppose your friend doesn't come." I said, "She must come." I said, "No, I said, "She will come." Okay. Oh, my father said, "Okay." I only just asked. So I went. I was singing, I was happy, the song I was singing, What We Shall Sing, coming back from this, I was so excited. Yeah. So I went to this bus station. And I looked around, there was nobody standing at the bus station. So there was a small post office nearby. I had already told my friend, stay. If I was late in coming, just stay there. So I went there. I said, "It's my friend waiting." "No, nobody is here waiting." So I waited, and lo and behold, my friend never turned up. I turned around. They said there was no other bus, no transport. She was to come from Ogere to Ishara. Yes. Okay. So I said, "What?" They said, no other bus will be coming from there. Okay. So you can imagine.
You couldn't pick phone.
No.
Side-eye. No, there was no phone.
That's something. You couldn't pick phone and
I went back.
"Oh, where are you?"
Side-eye
I was
to that
disappointed.
I'm so sorry, Grandma.
So I wanted no him seeing nothing. No. It was all I got home. Ekulesa, where is your friend? So I said, "He has not come." I said, "But I'm still expecting him." Okay. The slightest sound of motor vehicle, I would run out to see whether it was my friend. There was no friend. So that's happened all night, all day. Yeah. No friend. So when I was disappointed, of course. So when I was going to bed, I went to say good night to my father said, "Wait." He said, "Your friend did not turn up." I said, "No, he didn't."
I mean, it's obvious.
He said, "But do you remember when you were going? I asked you a question. Suppose your friend did not come. And what did you say?" I said I was sure she would come. Eunice, she must come. She said, "And now when you came back, she didn't come." No, she said, "Learn a lesson from there. That you expect. It's not bad to be ambitious, but sometimes you can be disappointed. So expect disappointment at any time so that when it hits you, you will not be adversely affected." He said, "You remember?" He said, "Because on that day, when I was going to say good night to my father, she said, come. She said, did your friend come? I said, no. He said, you see? She said, take a lesson from there. You expect disappointment. You know that you are going to be being pessimistic. No. Okay. He attended St. Andrew's College, by the way, Oyo. Okay. So he knew what he was saying. So he said, don't be pessimistic, but at the same time, always leave room for disappointment. Yeah. And when it hits, it will not. He said, you know, deliberately, I asked you when you were stepping out. Yeah. Suppose your friend doesn't come. He said he was saying that to let me know that sometimes it may not happen. Sometimes people fault, He said, so I said, thank you very much. He said, so you, good night, go and sleep. But that is a lesson for you to learn. Ever since then, I kept it in my hand. I hope my children listening now, and my grandchildren
and our followers,
and everybody online.
Always, not that you are being pessimistic, but at the same time, leave room for disappointment. It may happen, it may not happen. Okay. If it does happen, well, God is there too. God knows why it should happen. So it shouldn't affect you adversely. And because
I think there's something interesting to pick up from here, and this one is kind of going to go into like your relationship with Grandpa. So were there people before Grandpa? I know we've had a bit of this conversation before. Were there people, yes, before Grandpa?
I mean, she's a dame.
And the reason I'm bringing it up,
tell you, my first love letter was from a friend. This was in class 6. I was in class 6. You know, I've done Cambridge. Yes, Cambridge. Okay. And this man wrote to me.
A man.
Yes, a man. The first
man now in secondary school that year.
Well, true. In Nigeria. So I had done my Cambridge exam and waiting for results. So it was the first love letter I got. And it was Ishara, addressed to me. Yeah. So I looked left and right. I couldn't, so I took the letter with me into the bathroom to make sure
like nobody saw you. Yeah, you could.
So I locked the door, opened and read, because I didn't know if my father should catch me reading a letter addressed to me by a
man.
I didn't know what the reaction would be. So I sat there, I digested every line, and again covered it and put it in the and then came out as if nothing happened. But that was my experience after reaching class 6 in Motije, Cambridge. I was waiting for King's results.
How old were you then?
I think 18 or 19.
It's no bad from love letter now.
How my father, I don't know what his reaction might be. So I kept the letter there and went and did something else. And, so that was it.
But nothing came about of that.
He didn't know.
I mean, you didn't like the guy,
the relationship.
So you didn't
that fizzled out.
Fizzled out. After the breakfast, girls fizzled out.
Well, the reason why I brought up when you mentioned managing expectation, I remember last time you came, we were talking in the car, and you mentioned how before Grandpa there was an engagement to one silly man. Yes, the silly man who led you on.
Yes.
Someone broke your heart.
Then, yes. So that's when that was an episode. That went, and then. Of course, I went for my nursing in UK. And by then, age was creeping in. And it was all right. I had friends, and they had this boy, whom I thought was very serious. And so, yes.
We're about to hear
and he would send me beautiful card for Christmas and for birthday. No gift, too. Just card.
Even that you remembered. They no gift.
I was in Halifax.
Okay.
He was in London.
Okay.
but he would send me this beautiful card, nothing to go with it, but that didn't
Stingy men, fear them.
Exactly. So we went on, if I went on holidays in London,
Yeah.
I would see him and go out and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And when I trained in London, we were still carrying on with each other, the relationship.
Okay.
I thought it was serious.
You thought he was a human
I
being.
thought it was. And then we just went on like that. And then we went on to discuss wedding plans.
Wow.
So I was happy, like I wrote to tell them about this man, that this and that. Of course, I was in my age, 20 something.
Yeah.
you
So by then you
understand.
could talk to your dad about a man.
Yes, but I was not in Nigeria, so
Okay.
it was by mail, so
Okay.
no problem. So I wrote, and we were expecting to hear from him and further development,
Yeah.
writing in and so on and so forth, not knowing that he was just fooling. I didn't know. And we got on. I told him I was going to order cake. He said, yes, that's all right. Go for the order the cake. And then I said, what about the attire?
Whoa,
And he said, I said, do you want us to wear the same? We should wear the same. He said, no, he had his own thing to wear.
Red flag number 2.
Fine. And I said, okay. I sent home for my own set of this. So it was sent. And we carried on. And I was working in London.
Yeah.
In
Okay,
London then. Yes, in London, yes. And so we met. And then I said, you need to speak to the
Was it the Reverend?
director of the church where we were going to get that. And he said, I sent a letter. So the next time I saw him, have you sent a letter? He said, no. I said, why? He said, I didn't have no envelope. No envelope. You live in Peckham,
London.
Okay.
In London. No envelope. I said, what are you talking? He said, I couldn't get envelope to buy. You couldn't get one envelope to buy.
The signs were all there.
So he said, oh, don't worry, I get it. So and then I told him before the cake, I told him my friend in Halifax
Before
was
you
making
ordered
the cake.
Yeah.
He said, she was going to make it for me, Mrs. Brakeman. She was going to make it, an elderly woman. She took me as a daughter. She said she would make the cake. So she had started making the cake. She was telling me stage by stage, not knowing that the person I wanted to marry. So eventually, she said, no, he said, I write the letter. Okay. We met again. As I said, I was working in London.
Okay.
He was training in London. He said, I write, have you written the letter? He said, no. And then I discovered that it was all a lie.
So at what
He
point
was
did you
not.
call it off? Like, did it end?
He wrote a letter. He wrote.
Okay, so
He
you
wrote,
wrote a letter.
he
Because
wrote
I
a
remember the
letter.
ending of the story.
He
Very
wrote-
simple.
What did he say?
So don't worry.
Should I just
that I
say?
was-
Should I just say what you mean?
What did he say?
I don't remember.
So grandma told me when we had a conversation that he wrote a letter saying something along the lines of he didn't know his family at home were planning a wife for him. That she just showed up. That she just showed up at the door with her,
So they
with her
sent that.
property,
No, so
and he didn't have a say.
Wow, that's very convenient.
that was even before he told me he didn't write a letter. He didn't no envelope. Okay, go to the store and buy envelope. He came and no, I haven't written the envelope. I haven't written the letter. So I discovered that, and then he said, I just want to let you know this. I was in my house
Sleepy.
and there was a knock on the door. And then he opened the door.
And
Lindos, I remember the address, Lindos Avenue. So he opened the door, and this woman came with heavy suitcase and 2 suitcases
Yeah.
into his house and just dumped everything in his room. I said, He said, so, and he said, and so that is it. I said, what?
And then he was leading you on from Nigeria.
So,
Grandma, wait, before you continue. Where is the man now? He's dead, Abby.
no, could they do?
He's still alive. So I was you.
He married.
He's still alive.
This was the the woman arranged
For him.
from his, so the man was from
I
Ofa.
hope you're saying this,
So he married and
Grandma, you
but
didn't
I
even-
thank God.
I mean, look at your beautiful
So
children.
how long after did you then meet Grandpa?
About 2-3 years after.
Later.
So I just tried to link it to the whole story of expectation and just being. I know you mentioned you were very sad.
Of course, anybody
I
who's ever been
was.
sad. I'm so sorry you had to go through that.
I was,
But thank
my
God,
father
all
wrote,
things work out.
everybody wrote that.
To encourage you.
And my father told me, you know, you must expect disappointment.
Again.
Oh, the same.
Drawing from
when-
that lesson.
yes, you must expect disappointment.
Wow.
When it does come, then you won't be hard hit.
So bounce back.
Yeah, bounce back. So that's a lesson. If you've been served breakfast, I mean, Grandma here dealt with breakfast on the national level in the UK. She's-
International level.
international level, and she's doing well. Anyway, like, because like our time here is like limited, but I just want, like, if you had something to say, you know, Grandma, to a young couple, like they are just starting their lives, you know, raising children, you know, about.
No, I think before you jump to raising children, as a young person
I've
growing
told
up,
you about my father. My mother, who was not anybody easy to be
to cage, to
Please.
is it to please?
She was very, very strict.
Oh,
Oh yes, and not only that, very hardworking, and she expected us to do the same.
would you say she was like a Margaret Thatcher?
Oh no,
Not of that level.
no. She was good. She was generous and kind, but she was a disciplinarian.
She was firm, yeah.
But loving.
Loving, yes.
I think that's
She-
key with raising kids.
She would take no nonsense from anybody, not even from me. And we appreciate it.
Okay.
I remember one day I disobeyed during the day. She sent me on an errand. I disobeyed. Let's put it that way. And I suppose she had been warning me, and I didn't realize this. And so on this particular evening, we had got into, I said, good night. She said, good night. Then she later on, she got up, locked the door, took the key, and then woke me up and said, and then lifted up the mattress and brought out a stick.
Wonder where you were.
She said, now, come and repeat all you did this afternoon.
Okay.
Your disobedience. She sent me on an errand. I didn't do it, this and that. And she started with me. She had already locked the door,
So you could not
and I couldn't go out. And I was to start reading the 10 Commandments in Yoruba. So, òfin kìíní, ìwọ kò gbọdọ̀ ní Ọlọ́run mìíràn pẹ̀lú mi. She had her stick in her hand, and that was fine. Òfin kejì, I read it. Òfin kẹta, when it came to òfin karùn-ún, bọ̀wọ̀ fún bàbá òun ìyá rẹ̀, kí ọjọ́ rẹ̀ kí ó lè pẹ́. She said, read it again. I read it. And then of course, she said, bọ̀wọ̀ fún bàbá. Did you? Ṣé o bọ̀wọ̀ fún mi? I sent you on an errand this morning, I mean this afternoon, you didn't do it. She really gave me what she thought I deserved.
Wait, she thought you did. Do you think
It was with the stick. And not only that, I was to stoop down. So I stooped down with only one finger on the ground, with one leg up, with one hand there, and I was to carry on reciting the commandments. So I went as far as Òfin Karùn-ún, honor thy father and thy mother in Yoruba.
Yeah.
Òfin Kẹfà, Òfin Keje. If I made a mistake, she had the stick with her.
So as you were reciting,
to remind me, yes.
Oh, wow.
And my father came down and then knocked on the door. My mother wouldn't open the door. And I had this. I read through the 10 commandments. It was hell. And I said, from that day, I made sure, number one, I inspected the mattress where she slept to make sure there was no stick before going to bed. And I looked around to make sure nothing else, so that I could sleep in comfort. But I will never forget.
Thank you for sharing. You just gave me an idea for really much later anyway.
No, you don't.
I'm joking. I know I'm joking. No, I'm joking.
So that was it. Okay. I will never forget.
So advice for young people.
So if you were to, advise like young people, Okay.
Yes, I would discipline them by all means. Let them know they've done wrong. You need to whip them, but not, with love. She did it with love. She meant no harm, and you will do the same, but you'll be gentle. I just put it that way.
Gentle
God will guide, God will guide. But she was kind. She meant well for me.
Yeah.
So love.
But I will never.
Like
loving and fair.
Yeah, Grandma, I just wanted to draw like a lesson from like what you mentioned about the guy that disappointed you and how you bounced back from that. If there is like anyone going through that and watching right now, what advice would you give them to bounce back? And the fact that you have a failed engagement doesn't mean you will not have like a good home, like which you eventually went on to have. So what lesson would you give someone that maybe just went
maybe is going through something similar,
like that?
Someone let them on.
Someone let them on and then broke up with them before the wedding. What advice would you give them?
Well, take it as God's plan for you. That if it was God's wish that you should marry, then nothing would come in between.
Yeah, it would have happened.
Yes, but if God knew that such problems were ahead, he would stop it. As I said, I'm glad I did not go on with the marriage.
Because it didn't even sound like a good person. Yeah.
It was he broke my heart, but everybody's rallied around me. Psychologically,
community helped. That's really good. That's really
good. What would you say is the key to having a happy home, a thriving home? If there was one thing that you're going to point at as the key that helps
foundation that helps you and grandpa
raise a legacy,
what would you say?
Well, understand that you are two different people, and so you came from different background, and so you don't expect one to be exactly what you are. So expect that and allow. Not two people are exactly alike. No, you differ in likes and dislikes. Make allowance for that. You are not.
I think you're talking to me, Grandma.
You are not perfect. The other person is not expected to be perfect. You make up for each other's deficiency, and remember that you grew up from different backgrounds, and so understand that. But you can adjust when you understand that. You will make allowances. He will understand you. You will understand him, and then you'll make up. Oh, that's all right.
That's really good.
he has grown up to be like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
She has grown up to be like this.
Yeah.
Let us adjust. Let us
Yeah. Like complement each other.
yes,
Yeah.
and
Grandma, I was just trying to say, like, I felt like you were talking to me because you see this your grandson. He doesn't wake up early, Grandma, and like I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying. And before when we're newly married,
criticize me
wait,
online.
can I finish?
Criticize me on the online.
No, I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying, like, and that used to like really make me upset, like cause okay, so he's used to like working late, and because of that, like he work overnight, and because of that, like he won't wake up early. But me, like, I sleep early, so I wake up early. Meanwhile, like, when he's, like, working late, it's probably, like, arranging the house or, like, trying to get things together, right? So, like, initially, like, when we're newly married, it used to make me very angry because he will still be sleeping in the morning. 9 o'clock, sometimes he will still be sleeping. But I think I've learned that sometimes, like we kind of work better because I sleep early. So like if there's anything like we've not done in the house, for example, like you would like go ahead, maybe tidy the kitchen or like set up, and then when I wake up, I'm coming to a clean house, but then he's still sleeping, and because of that, like maybe I have to be the one to bathe Riri or something like that. Yeah, and initially like it used to get me angry, but now that you said like okay, like he was raised differently. I mean, he studied architecture and he used to work overnight, so that kind of contributed to like his nocturnal, behavior, rather than see it as like this person is deficient in this area. To see it like a way to compliment him and say, okay, even me when I sleep early and there are still things to be done, like he helps to do it. So that's why I said I felt like you were talking to me in that regard. But you can still be waking up early.
Take your word, okay?
Well, Grandma, please tell him to be waking up early.
he will try.
Okay.
If he goes to bed early, maybe he will.
Early to bed, early to rise.
Yes.
So maybe you should be going to bed early.
Okay, then we'll both
try.
wake up to the house how it is.
I feel like we can come to meet each other in the middle anyway. Oh, thank you so much, Grandma. Okay.
I think that's basically praying helps a lot.
Praying. Okay.
And my mother helped me a lot. Concerning prayers and so on and so forth, and I thank God for that. I remember she taught me how to do fasting, fasting exercise. When you pray, you don't. She believes in, or she believed in praying and fasting. And the first time I was going to fast, I will never forget. I was young. I mean, perhaps 12. 11.
Planning for it.
Yeah. So in the church, she was attending an Aladura church, and I attended. So they said we should all fast. So my mother said, "You must fast." So okay, no food at all. All right. So we started no food in the morning. Then, if I was thirsty, I put water in my mouth and spit it out. I won't swallow it. I chew food and spit it out and so on and so forth. And I thought that was it. But later on, I saw her. She would go through it. Of course, much older than me. And she would pray and she would ask us, kneel down and pray. We'll ask us to pray and we'll pray together. And so eventually I got to learn how to fast effectively.
Okay.
And that helped me a great deal in my spiritual life.
Okay.
And she helped me also. And she would tell me, if you fast, you must pray. Pray? Yes, you must pray. You don't just go without food and go about your... So she taught me. So she taught me how to pray and fast and to make it effective. So she helped me a great deal. And I thank God for that. And I hope my children got
that as well.
Got that.
Well, Tola fast actually, so I think he also got that.